Welcome to Ritual Scale Modelling. This is part 6 of Imai's Maru. Scale is 1 to 350. In this part I'm going to be carrying on placing things on the deck, concentrating on the funnel and the housing around it. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. The first job to do is to put on the panels around the cabin areas. Now each panel has its own little different feature, so this one has a door and the other ones have windows and so forth. I painted these in the previous videos. They go on fairly simply. They back right onto the main structure, and in each end has a beveled end which fits in to each side. Doesn't really matter how you approach this, whether you put on the width one first or the length one first. They all fit in fairly well, so it doesn't really matter how you start placing these on. There is, however, a little raised structure next to the housing block that these panels sit on, so you have to make sure that they sit on that raised area and not directly onto the deck itself, or they won't fit. They'll just lean into the structure and you'll never get the joints to marry up. The funnel itself is a very easy fit. It's got a very large location point. That's where I'm just putting the cement in that big whited out area. It's okay to fit. You may think it doesn't fit in sound level. Mine didn't appear to be at first. It took a little bit of a jiggling around just to make sure it was sitting properly. Next is the aft deck. Now, unfortunately, when I was removing the paint on the aft deck, the strut there had snapped off. Sometimes white spirit can weaken plastic, and I rubbed it a bit too hard, and it just snapped off. Now, but it's a fairly clean break, so it's not going to cause me any problems. I did initially cement it back together before placing it in, but it was still a little bit weak. So when I moved it, it popped off again. So I decided to make the repair as I built it, and this worked out fine. And the slight line that's created with the break actually adds to the deck. It makes it look like it's part of the deck ridges anyway. There was a little bit of extra plaster that I had to take off that I missed on the initial cleanup. Sometimes that happens. Don't be worried if you have to take out the part and do another bit of cleanup. That's perfectly okay. With cement, you have plenty of time to do things like that if it goes slightly wrong. Onto the ship's wheel, and the wheel was humble 110 natural wood, and the other areas is the Revel Aqua 92 brass, so that's all the little stud work and the handles around the ship's wheel. Now there's two parts to this wheel. There's the wheel in the house and in the outer part of the wheel. I thought it would be better to paint it before assembling it, just makes it a little bit easier. And the housing is painted in Revel Aquacolor 04 Gloss White. While it's drying, it's back to the main deck, and I'm placing in all the little plates and things like that on it next to the funnel as well on top of the cabin. Now, some of these air vent funnel things point in different directions, so have a look at the instructions. There's only one or two that point in a different direction, but you want to get that right or it does throw the balance of the whole deck off. It just doesn't look right if you have them all pointing in one direction. There's also a few little captions that go on as well. But when you're building this kit, you want to pay close attention to the actual roof of these cabins. The inner part of them are in the deck colour, but the outer border is white also. Now, it's an easy enough paint because you can paint these parts before you attach them, but it is meant to be the two different contrasting colours. Also, when you're putting on the little captions and that, I said it in the last video, each one, different type ones have a slightly different size location holes for it. Check them to make sure as you're putting on, particularly the ones on top of the cabins, they can be a little bit tight. So don't be fooled into thinking, oh, that's the wrong one. You may want to double check a couple of times just to make sure you're putting the right ones in. And it's all because of the location points being that slightly different size. It does help while building it, but it can also add to a little bit of confusion. Also, possibly at this stage as well, want to start thinking about your rigging, how each part of your rigging is going to be attached to the deck and so on. This is one of the reasons why I haven't put on the guardrails for around the mast. I'm not sure exactly my anchor points, whether they'll be going on there or not. Technically, they should be going on there, but they're very small. So my thinking is, do I attach the rigging to it now, or do I not, or do I just leave that off? I won't really know until I start putting in having a look at the mast in more detail. But I don't like planning too far ahead for that sort of thing, because I'll tend to forget and just do something different anyway as I go along. But it's at this stage now that I'm starting to give the rigging serious consideration and thought to how exactly I'm going to be anchoring these down. Because of that as well, you want to plan how you're going to start putting the furniture on the deck. You can quietly run out of room on these little ships. Sorry for my head getting in the way. I was just checking the instructions. You want to be making sure that you're not going to be running out of room as you put each part on. The top part I'm putting on here is part of the funnel, and that later on will be getting painted in black as well. This is why, as a general rule, I'll start at one end of the ship and work my way down, even if the instructions say otherwise. That way, it's giving me a line on the build that I can follow from start to finish, and it negates having to go back and try and get your tweezers in or something to fit a central part. So as I'm coming onto the second cabin structure, I'm placing these top parts on. If I jumped in before and done these before all the other parts, then put the mast on like the instructions suggest, it'd be quickly running out of room, and it would be a lot more difficult to assemble these parts. So now I'm going to the assembly of the ship's wheel. The wheel just gets placed on top of the wheel that's attached to the housing. As you can see, it's quite small and it's a little bit of fiddly work. It's better if you can get this placed on in one go straight away instead of trying to manoeuvre it in position. You can damage all your paintwork if you can't do it that way. If you're not sure, assemble it without painting it, then try and paint it once it's assembled. It can be a lot more difficult to paint though. That's the only caveat on that. So you really just have to find what way it best works for yourself. But it can be a little bit tricky with this size. Next to go on are the two ship compasses. They go on directly in front of the ship's wheel. Now there is a housing that goes over the top of these, which we'll be placing on in a moment. But these compass dials, I've only just painted these the 04 gloss white. Now the reason for that is the actual mechanism part will be facing directly inside the building. You won't see them. You always get to see the back end of them once it's all assembled, so there's no point in going into all that detailed paintwork. So as you can see, I'm putting on more of the deck furniture, so that's all the capstans and the air funnels and things like that. There is quite a lot of them to go on. If you can see all the different location points there's all left on the ship, taken away from the mast and the mast rails. All the little circular ones you can see, it shows you how many is going on. But for now, that is the majority of them on. But all that's left to do now is touch up some of the paintwork. So some of these structures here, I didn't realise I had to have the orange yellow colour, so I'm just painting that in now. And just as a reminder, that's Mr. Hobby H24 gloss orange yellow that I'm using. And to finish off part 6, I'm using the Tamiya's X1 black for the top of the funnel. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, that way you'll be kept up to date not only with this build, but all my other builds as well, of course. Hit the like button, don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.